Hi guys, welcome to attend today's webinar. I'm Chen Yuwen from Alibaba Cloud Training and Certification Team. In today's webinar, we'll teach you how to launch your e-commerce website with Magento using Alibaba Cloud SaaS, which is Simple Application Server. It's also part of our Alibaba Cloud Apsara Clouder certification course. If you're interested in our Apsara Clouder certification courses, please visit our portal. So let me show you right here. Please go to our Alibaba Cloud portal, go to the support, to the training and certification function page, and then you will see our Apsara Clouder technical certification right here. You can press learn more to see which course you're interested in and see the detail in the detail page. So let me switch things back. Okay. And by the way, if you have any questions, please feel free to submit questions at any time through the text box on your screen. So let's move on. And this is the outline of today's course. We'll first talk about what do you need for building an e-commerce website. And then we'll talk about the product we are going to use, which is Simple Application Server. And finally, we'll move on to a hands-on, talking about how to publish your first e-commerce website on Simple Application Server using Magento. And then we will end with some configuration on your Magento website. So now let's move on to the first chapter about what do you need to deploy an e-commerce website on Alibaba Cloud. So let's start with recap the static versus dynamic website table. So for an e-commerce website, you will have contents that is, generated dynamically, and it may use server-side languages such as PHP, JSP, and ASP.NET. And it may generate different HTML for each request, and the page may contain server-side code. And also, you may be using a content management system, a CMS like Magento, to manage the site content. So, according to the conditions we mentioned above, your e-commerce website will fall into the category of dynamic website. And since this is a dynamic website using Magento as the CMS, you will not only need a cloud server to host the site, but also will need an environment that is suitable for running CMS. So now let's talk about what do you exactly need to build an e-commerce website. To run an e-commerce website, you will first need a web server running environment like LAMP, which is Linux operating system, Apache web server, MySQL database, and PHP, and then install the Magento package on it. And after setting the configuration file, you will have a Magento e-commerce site ready to go. And for this demonstration, we will use Simple Application Server to host all these services, including PHP, MySQL, and Apache or Nginx. If you prefer Nginx, it can work as Apache. And then finally, we will deploy the Magento on the Simple Application Server and do the final configuration. And also, let's quickly talk about what is this Magento that we are going to use in today's course. Well, Magento is an open source e-commerce platform written in PHP, and they provide free edition that includes features that meet the core e-commerce needs of online businesses. It is suitable for, growing small businesses or for those that want to experiment and learn how to build an online store from the ground up. And of course, they also provide all-in-one solution called Magento Commerce. And this is for those that prefer to, pay some money and get the full solution right away. And in today's course, we will use the free edition in the hands-on session. So in the previous section, we talk about the thing you need to host an e-commerce website. The first thing is a web server, which we choose SaaS in Alibaba Cloud. So what is this SaaS Simple Application Server? Well, here's the Alibaba Cloud Services full portfolio. And you can see in here, in this side, we have the computing service category, and you can see SaaS Simple Application Server lies in the computing category. It is a service providing elastic computing environment similar to ECS, but more lightweight and cost efficient. Simple Application Server is a lightweight stop service to enhance your server experience and efficiency. It is very suitable for lightweight, standalone application scenarios. And it provides, one-click application deployment and support all-in-one services. So you can do such as domain name resolution, website publishing, security management, O&M, and application management all in the same console. And when you purchase an SaaS instance, you can choose the image that will be applied on this SaaS. And if you choose system image, which provides options from Windows Server to Linux distributions, like for example, if you choose CentOS system image, then CentOS will be the OS pre-installed in your SaaS instance. And on the other hand, you can choose application image. The application image comprises the following components: applications and related initialization data, running environment, underlying OS, all these together in the application image. And after the application image is installed, applications can be directly started with Simple Application Server. So this is why we claim that an application can be initiated in just 30 seconds with one click when using application image in SaaS. So now let's talk about the advantages of using SaaS, especially comparing to using ECS on the other side. So the best advantage of SaaS, we believe the best advantage is it provides an all-in-one application management scenario. So you can manage instance status, firewall rules, backup, which is creating snapshots on the same console. And this console unifies all these features together in one place. And you can also restore the system using the snapshot that was created when you launch the SaaS instance. So you can easily restore the SaaS instance state to the previous state. Or you can use reset the current system feature in SaaS Management Console to reset your cloud server. And also on the Management Console, you can upgrade the spec of your current SaaS instance or change the operating system by using change to other image feature. These features we will demo it in the later section. And well, of course, there's also a downside when using SaaS. And the main downside, well, comparing to ECS, SaaS downside is when you use it, you can only choose from fixed number of mid to low-end cloud servers, and you cannot purchase in pay-as-you-go mode. This also implies that, well, SaaS is more suitable for personal website, lightweight apps, or personal blogs. If you want to, host an enterprise-level portal which has a lot of features on it, then we would more recommend you to use Alibaba Cloud ECS. Okay, so now let's move on to the section about how to choose your simple application server. So we will talk about how to choose it step by step. So the first step, also the first thing that you have to choose when purchasing the SaaS instance is you have to choose the service region. And what is this region? Well, region is where Alibaba Cloud will launch the instance that you created. So usually region refers to the city where Alibaba Cloud provide cloud computing service and where you will launch the instance you create. And generally a region will cover an area, such as Beijing region will cover North China area. And Alibaba Cloud, currently we have 18 regions around the world. And also SAS itself, it supports 3 regions for now. So you can see the picture I post here in the below. That's the current regions we provide when you use SAS. You can choose from US West, which is Silicon Valley, to Asia Pacific SE2, which is Sydney, or EU Central, which is Frankfurt region. That you choose a region carefully, since different regions have different latency and cost. So choose it carefully can help you save cost and get the best get the best SaaS instance that fits your requirements the best. And then the second thing you have to choose is the image that will be applied on this SaaS instance. You can choose from application image, which we currently provide WordPress image and LAMP environment image. Or you can choose from OS image, which we provide from common Linux distributions such as CentOS, Debian, Ubuntu to Windows Server. And then you have to choose the instance plan for your SaaS. And you can see from the screenshot I post here, we have different plans that comprise of different CPU, traffic quota, and storage, which is the SSD quota. And you can choose the plan that fits your need with the best bargain. And in the previous page, we talked about that when you purchase an SaaS, the plan will include network traffic quota. So how does this quota work? Well, let's talk about it here. So in this picture, we have an SaaS instance in Singapore region. And in Singapore region, it is in a data center in Singapore region. So we now have an SAS1 launched in this region. And when you use SAS, you will have inbound traffic from the internet and outbound traffic from the internet as well. And as we mark it in the red box, it is only the outbound traffic that will consume your network traffic quota. So in other words, your network traffic quota will only be consumed when users download data from your SAS instance. So moreover, when you exceed the network traffic quota given in your SAS monthly plan, you will be charged for additional internet traffic fee based on the outbound traffic that happened. So that's the thing you have to be careful on when you purchase the SAS instance and choose the plan. So different plans have different network traffic quota. Then the final option you have to choose is when purchasing SAS, you can choose the subscription duration. So you can choose from 1 month to 3 months, 6 months, or even a year, 2 years, or 3 years. And you can check the auto-renew checkbox if you want to auto-renew the plan. And currently, SAS only support monthly subscription. So if you really need to purchase in pay-as-you-go mode, then you can choose ECS. And before we move on to the demo section, let's talk about some limitations on Simple Application Server. So the first limitation on Simple Application Server is each user can keep a maximum of 5 Simple Application Server in his account. And each server can have a maximum of 3 snapshot backup and 50 firewall rules. So that's the maximum that a user can have, and the maximum number of snapshot and firewall rules for a single SAS. And also, when using SAS, there's a special limitation is you cannot use port 25 to send email to external domains. You have to choose port 465 instead. So that's a limitation we put on the Simple Application Server. Okay, so let's move on to the next section, which is our hands-on demo, teaching you how to publish your first e-commerce website on SAS. So let's move, let me just move the window a little bit, hold on. So let me put the browser back on, and then let's do a hands-on demo, teaching you how to use it. So I've already logged into Alibaba. Please log in, and then after login, you can go to the console right here. And let's just skip the introduction. And using the product navigation, you can easily go to the Simple Application Server, which is right here. Okay, so you can see on the management console, I already have two running, and at any time you can create a new server using the purchase button right here. And if you click it, you will see the kind of the GUI that I just mentioned in the PowerPoint before. So you can see you can choose from the location, which is the region where your SaaS will be launched. And then you can choose from OS image or choose the application image. And also you can choose to, bind the expense service to your SaaS. So this expense service integrate Alibaba Cloud SSL certification service to your SaaS console if you check this box. And you can, of course, uncheck it. This is up to your choice. And in default, it is checked. And then you can choose the plan. So you can see different plan have different price, but with different spec and also the network transfer quota. So for example, if you have a blog that have a lot of people that will come to visit it, then we would more recommend you to choose from this levels plan to maybe this levels plan. For example, this one, although it's more expensive, but it provides you 5 TB transfer per month. So this is depending on your the kind of situation that you face when you launch the website. And in our example, we just buy this one. And then you can choose the number of subscription. Like you can subscribe for 2 SaaS machines, or you can only subscribe for 1. And you can see, as I mentioned earlier, there's a limitation that each account can only purchase 5 at most. So here's a kind of an information telling me I already have 2 instances, so I can only create 3 more to go. And then you can choose the period and also choose, do you want to auto renew or not? So let me just buy one. Let me choose the Silicon Valley and choose CentOS operating system because I want to do everything from scratch. And then choose choose this plan will be suitable for the demo, and subscribe for only 1 for a month and not auto renew. And then we're ready to go. So press buy now and agree for the term of services and pay. And then finally press the pay again, and you will have the SaaS ready to go. So let's go back to the console. So I just purchased one, so you will see that there will be one more that is starting. Yes, so this one, it is initializing. So we have to wait like half minute till it finish the initialization. So just be patient. And also you can refresh the page if it doesn't if it's still in initialization stage. Just keep refreshing it. Usually it would take like 20 seconds, I think. Okay, so it's still initializing. Just give it a little bit more time. Okay, just wait, maybe a few more seconds. Oh, okay, so it's now ready. So you can see on the management console, you'll see the spec and the region of the SaaS instance that you just purchased, and the status now is in running state, and this is the public IP that is binded to this instance. So if you press this instance, you will go to the detail management console, and you will see the public IP and the private IP of the SaaS instance. And for example, I have three, let me go back. I have three SaaS instances. They are all in Silicon Valley region. So if I use private IP of the three SaaS instances and have them communicate to each other, will be happen in private network. So there will be no traffic fee applied on the private network. And also you can see there are a lot of settings that you can do on this management console. Like you can set domain name for this SaaS instance, firewall rule for it, doing snapshot, doing backup, and do monitoring or even doing reset. And you can check the operation log. And you can do connection to this SES instance. So let's go to this connection here. So you can see that here's a very convenient connection feature that you can connect to this SES instance just by popping up a window and then do everything. So you can see in this window, you are already logged in. You don't need to enter account or password. You are already logged in here. But well, in this demo, I would prefer using terminal in macOS, so I'll close this one. And if you want to log into this SaaS using terminal, there's one thing you have to do, is you have to set the root password. Because when purchasing the SaaS, Alibaba Cloud generate a root password for you, but that's a random number that is protected by Alibaba Cloud. So if you want to get your own root password, you have to set it by yourself. So you have to use this feature, set password here, and then set the password. So let me set a convenient password for myself, hold on. And then confirm the password. Okay, and press OK, then you will have the password set. And it will say you have to restart the server to make the password valid. So let's just restart it. So again, this will wait for like 20 or 30 seconds again, but it's just restarting, so it will be faster than the initialization. And also you can see there's, let me just demo one more thing on this console. If you do something, you set everything up on the SaaS instance and you want to do a backup, then you can do it in here in the snapshot feature. You can create a snapshot by clicking this button. Just give it a snapshot name, and then you can create a backup on the system disk of this SaaS instance. And later, if you find, last time I did a backup, and 2 days later I mess up the SaaS instance, I did something that is really badly wrong, I want to restore to the previous state, then you just use the snapshot you created here to do a restore. And if you happen to have everything that you think, oh, it's all messed up, I want to go back to the starting point, to the original point that I purchased the SAS, then you can go to the reset feature here, and you can just reset it. And if you reset it, SAS will go back to the initialization stage and reinitialize again. And then everything so far will be cleaned up. Your SAS will go back to the starting point. And also, if you, like for example, in my case, I use CentOS, but later I find, maybe I shouldn't use CentOS. Maybe I should change to Ubuntu, or maybe I should change to application image. Then you can press confirm change to apply it. So, okay, we're almost going to run out of time. So let me just quickly go to the demo. Okay, so let me start logging into the SES instance. So let's copy the public IP and then go to the terminal. Let me just bring the terminal up. Okay, and then let's start doing the login. So using SSH root at the IP of this SES instance, and then we can start logging. So enter the password. And then you are in this SAS instance. And then what we have to do is, let's go to a page where the menu is. Let me bring up the browser. So here's a page from our documentation center that tells you how to build a Magento website on EC. but it also apply on SaaS because as I mentioned earlier, what SaaS give you is also an ECS instance, but put it in a more unified console too for easy management. So you can follow the steps here to set up the LAMP environment and then start installing Magento and do the configuration. So what we have to do is first install the LAMP. Well, LAMP, this part is very easy, so let me just do it right away. So bring back the terminal up. And then there are just a few commands that you have to do to install the LAMP environment. So first thing you have to do is install HTTPD. So you can see there's only a few steps to check and then press yes, everything will be installed immediately. And then you have to set the Apache server to make it auto start and auto enable the service. So you can auto start HTTPD and enable the service with these commands here. And then you will have the Apache ready to go. And then the second step in the tutorial in here is asking you to install MySQL. But from my personal perspective, I prefer using MariaDB. And of course, MariaDB is fully compatible with MySQL, so it's up to you to use MySQL or MariaDB. But in this hands-on, I will install MariaDB. So what I'll do is I'll use this command yum install MariaDB server MariaDB to install this service. You can see again, it's just checking the packages that are about to download and then do the downloading and installation. Okay, so it's done. So fast, isn't it? And then again, you have to make MariaDB auto launch, and you have to enable the service to make it running now. So using these two commands, you will finish the auto start and enablement. And finally, well, MariaDB in default, it will give you a root password that is empty, it's blank. It use blank as the root password, and it's very not good. So of course, we will have to change the root password. So you can change the root password using this command. And it will ask you to enter the current root password, but the current root password is blank, so just enter. And then ask you to change root password. Well, yes. And then let's set the root password. And re-enter the root password again. Ask you, do you want to remove anonymous user? Yes. Disallow root login remotely? Well, no. And remove test database? Well, maybe not now. And then finally, reload privilege. Well, of course, yes, we want to flush all the settings. So, okay, so that's it for the MariaDB part. And finally, we have to install PHP. And for PHP 7.0, because usually if you directly run the yum install PHP, it will install. In our case, because we want to install Magento and Magento needs PHP 7, so you will have to go to the tutorial here, use the commands provided by the tutorial to install PHP 7. So let's go back here. So what we are doing is we will copy the commands from the tutorial to install PHP 7. Okay, so we first change the source that CentOS get all the packages, and then we do a yum update. So I just copy everything from the tutorial. This update will take a little bit longer, may take 1 minute, so just be patient. There are 113 packages need to be updated, so We'll need to wait for maybe half or 1 minute, so just be patient. Oh, so almost done. So we are in the final package, and after this cleanup, everything will be done. Just give it 1 more minute to finish the installation. The final package takes longer to clean up, so just give it a little bit more time. Or maybe let's just talk about the final command you need to do. So after all the update is done, you just use this command here to install PHP 7 and also the related packages with PHP 7. So for example, there are PHP 7 for for MySQL package, and also some PHP 7 package for OP catch. So we'll just use this command to install all these PHP 7 related packages at once. So let me bring back the terminal. So, oh, good, it's done. So let's just quickly enter this command and install all the PHP 7 related packages. So yeah, it's installing now. So this one is lesser, only 30 to go. So yep, done. Cool. So now we finally have the PHP ready now. So what we have to do is there's a final step we have to do because we installed PHP. So what we have to do is we have to reboot HTTPD, which is the Apache server, to make a PHP link to the Apache. And then now there are some more things we have to do. We have the LAMP environment ready now. So what we will be doing now is we will need to, well, in this step 2, it asks you to configure the database, which means it asks you to create a database for Magento. But this is something that we can do later, so I'll skip this part. To install the Magento. So the first thing in this tutorial, it asks you to use Composer. So what we have to do is we will have to install the Composer. So we will use the script here to install Composer. Hold on. Yep, so that's for Composer. Okay, so yep, the Composer is now downloaded. So let's now do the configuration for Composer. And okay, so that's it for the Composer. The Composer part doesn't have too much steps. And finally, we'll be installing and configuring the Magento. So let's go back to the terminal. So just follow the steps here. So yeah, it will ask you to use git to get the Magento package. So first you have to install git. Okay, and then it asks you to cd to the HTML page directory. So let's cd to the var/www/html. And then we just clone the Magento to this directory. You can see it's now doing the cloning. So it will take also a few minutes, but should be okay. It won't take too long. So there are some more files to download. Well, the Magento package is quite big, so it would take a little time to download everything down. So maybe let's move back to the browser to talk about some more commands to go. So we just did the clone part, right? So we install Git and clone the Magento package. And then what we have to do is we switch to the stable version, which is recommended in this tutorial. And then we do this step 3. Actually, you can skip it, but they do recommend us to do this to move the directory so that you will have your Magento in the root directory. And then you just set the file permissions for Magento, and then finally you use Composer to install the Magento. Then everything will be ready. So let's just go back to the terminal. Oh, okay, the terminal is done. So let's just finish the final few steps, and then we will have the Magento site ready. So the first one is you have to copy the command to switch to the stable version Magento. Okay, and then let's just go to the second command to move the directory. And finally, let's grant the permissions for the Magento files, because if you don't grant the permissions, then it will not be able to launch. Because we're using Linux, so we have to grant all these permissions. Okay, there's a few more commands to go. And then finally, we grant the permission for the bin/Magento. Okay, so we grant all the permissions, and then finally we just use the command composer install to install the Magento. And then after the installation, we will have everything ready to go. You can see it's connecting, doing all the decompressing and installing. So just have the Magento ready on our simple application server instance. There are still a few more steps to go, but it should be ready really soon. Okay, so we have the Magento ready. Excellent. So let's now move back to the browser. So we have Magento ready on the simple application server we just purchased. So if you go to this public IP, you should then see what is stated in step 5, which is asking you to do the configuration for the Magento. So let's just go here. And yes, we now have everything ready. If you want to set up the Magento, you just agree the term and services, and then you can start from step 1, 2 to 5 to 6 to finish all the installation and all the setup, and then you will have your online store ready on your simple application server. So that's all for this demo part, and now let's move on to the final section in today's webinar, which is the Q&A section. So let me check on the console what are the questions that we have so far. The question went, well, will there be a video recording for this session? Well, of course we will have this. So later, if you go back to this webinar, you will see there's a past webinar, and then you'll see the recording there ready to go. So you can see the recording, and then you can, well, if you want to follow my steps to set up the Magento on the SaaS, then you can see the recording and do it step by step, just as what I did here in this webinar. And then question 2, does Magento work in China or only in Hong Kong? Well, actually, this Magento, I'm not sure. Do you mean this SaaS? Does SaaS work in China? Well, if you're asking for, SAS, let me go back here. Because I think your question might be actually two questions. The first thing is, does this simple application server support other regions, such as the regions in China? Then let's go to the purchase console. Then you'll see that currently in our Alibaba Cloud International version, it only supports overseas regions and only these three regions. And if you want to purchase a simple application server in China, in the regions in China, you have to go to Alibaba Cloud China version, which is the cn.aliyun.com. And in here, you will be able to purchase the simple application server in China regions. And the second thing is, does Magento support only the SAS instances in overseas region, or it supports all SAS instances in no matter which region it is deployed? Well, the answer is Magento itself, it is a free online, is a free package support building an online e-commerce website. So it can be deployed on no matter which region you purchase the simple application server, it can be deployed on your simple application server that you just purchased. So, okay, so, let me check. There's one more question. So how much is the certificate course for this topic? Well, that's a good question. So let me bring you to the Alibaba Cloud portal. So let's go back to here. So if you take a look at the support and training and certification section here, and you go to the Apsara Clouder section, and there are a lot of courses, but I think we have a unified price for these courses. For example, if you go to this course, which is publish a static website in China with ICP, you can see it's $10. And for other courses, I believe they are all $10. Cloud Platform Security Overview course, it is also $10. So no matter which course you are about to purchase, they are all $10. And also there are some courses, if you go back to the previous page, you'll see that we actually sometimes will have campaign lowering some of the courses to less than $2, or even some courses are free for a limited period. So if you're really interested in our Apsara Cloud course, I do recommend you can come to this course, operate and manage a cloud server, and purchase it directly because it's free for a limited period. Okay, and okay, so we have a final question for a simple application server is, can you resize the SAS? Well, I guess the thing you say is, could you upgrade the SAS, right? Because before in the purchase console, let me go back here. You can see that when you purchase the simple application server, if you purchase this instance plan, and later if you find, only one core 0.5 GB and 1 TB transfer is really not enough, especially this SSD 20 GB is really not enough, can I do upgrade? Well, of course you can. This is called vertical upgrade. And SAS support this kind of vertical upgrade, similar to ECS. In ECS, you can do vertical upgrade, and the same as in SAS as well. So, kind of it's all the questions so far that we have. So that's all for the question part. Okay, so let me move back to the slides. Okay, so that's kind of seems like that's all for today's webinar. So thank you for listening to today's webinar. And again, as we mentioned in the beginning and also in the Q&A section, if you're interested in our other cloud courses, please go to our Alibaba Cloud portal, go to the support category, to the training and certification service, and take a look at those courses and purchase the courses that you're interested in. So thank you for listening, and we hope to see you again soon in the next webinar. Bye-bye.